It's time for a full driving review of the VW Golf facelift, all about the updated changes and how good is it now. With Thomas now to go through in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the front here now with the illuminated front logo, and you can even see this in daytime, even better of course at night and so on, but pretty cool together with this light unit that has the stripe right here horizontal way. So you have a base LED that does not include the illuminated logo. Then you have the LED plus headlamps. They are usually included then in the mid trim, and optional the IQ light. This is the matrix LED. We also have them right now, and the illuminated logo begins with the LED plus trim, but of course also included then in the IQ light. The IQ light only adds then the cascading turning indicators. That looks also pretty fancy, and also a special light show for the beginning and goodbye light. Again, very well to see then at night. Then towards the side profile, this is the hatch today, 4.28 meters or 169 inches. Of course, there's still the variant, the Estate, which is slightly longer and also slightly longer in wheelbase. This is, by the way, here the style trim, so a mid-trim level for you. 18-inch wheels. You start with 16-inch, then you have 17, 18 also possible, and if you go like GTI R, also 19 would be possible. Then you have the typical Golf shape, which is always defined here by this very, very strong C-pillar right here. As for suspension, you have a base suspension, then you have a fixed sport suspension. You can also get a bad road suspension. And optional, also the DCC, Dynamic Chassis Control, a €1,000 extra. This is then the adaptive suspension. 27,000 euros or pounds is, by the way, the base price, naked, lowest trim and so on. And later I'll also tell you more about the concise cost here of the equipped vehicle in the mid-trim. Then if you have the matrix LED, the LED, the highest trim of that, here you can also see this new signature here in the rear in this three-dimensional styling. So it has become a little bit more modern on the exterior in the styling with this facelift here. One of my favorite features is always here this flipping logo. The rear view camera is hidden underneath it, and it also works here to fold up the trunk. Here, especially when you have the turning indicators on the rear with the IQ light. Look at that here in this layer design, but then also together with the cascading form, that is something really spectacular, isn't it? For the key fob, we have the typical high gloss black stuff, I want to say. Then door closing sound. Is it still Golf? Yeah, it is. The Golf started that actually, so yeah, both front and rear, nice door closing sound. Then inside of the doors. The top part here is slightly soft. Then we have in the mid-trim here this insert. Then microfiber, because we have the special style plus ergo active seats. And then see here this like emergency vest, nice felt covering on the inside of the doors. Yeah, BMW does not have that nowadays. And then the real buttons at the steering wheel, I like that too. We have real buttons. So at VW they make a comeback now. Only the Golf R has the capacitive BS buttons still. All others then here with the real stuff. Then new digital cockpit, left side, and also infotainment up on the right side. Zoom more to that. First of all, the seats. You get base fabric seats, but you can also go for these ergo active seats. They have then microfiber on the inside and some fabric on the outside. So they are very beautiful, I feel, and ergonomics are also really good. And with the microfiber, it's also, let's say, extra cozy. You can put this lower thing here a little bit more out like this. And in this case, also the electric one, like with forward, backward of the seat. And this the electric lumbar support. And with 189, 6'2", I still have enough headroom left. Steering wheel control, manual, up and down, in and out. For the steering wheel, they have no animal alternative yet from the base source. Driver POV, good control central here, where you can also change the view of the digital instruments. Different stylings are available, and you can also change the content on the inside, on the middle, for example, or here this map view, full screen, and you also get a head-up display like this, also very good to see. And then if you look over, you see the new 13-inch screen, the bigger one. There's like the 10-inch screen as base available, and here these sliders, they are also illuminated at night now at least. And the cockpit overview here, soft touch dashboard, and then there's an ambient lighting integration between that. It looks actually quite fancy. Horizontal stress from these vents. Glove box here, also probably dampened, and nice sound when I also close that. like that. Once again, a view at these seats. You also have ISOFIX here on the passenger seat in the front. That's definitely also good to know. And here this armrest, properly attached, space underneath. There's nothing more on the inside. You can also slide this here forward. Then you cannot close this here, but you can actually make it an open area, or then this cup holder. However, this is not holding things that tight, I have to say. Then a lot of high gloss black piano lacquer here. You have to clean it often with a microfiber towel. Then you have inductive charging pad here in the front with a cooling hole so it doesn't overheat. Then you have some hotkeys here to access the climate unit or the driving modes, but they're not that practical to hit. They don't give any feedback and so on. So probably now, since you have this new 13-inch screen, it's maybe easier to hit it right here. Also here for the DCC, for the adaptive suspension, which you can individually configure then here now. That's also a quite good feature. And the whole software itself, big step forward. You can now easily access here the driving modes, for example, here, and this always stays in this place, or assistance systems and so on, deactivating the speed warning. So way better than before. Software has been a huge issue with the Golf, and now, well, you can also change temperature like this, or pressing, or then with the sliders. It's not the best system in the world, and I wouldn't say that there will be no errors anymore, but it's definitely better than before. You can also use these USB-C chargers or connectors if you don't want the wireless CarPlay or Android Auto connection. Rear seats, top part is here all hard plastic and so on, but we have nice covering at the inside of the doors. And in this trim, and also here the microfiber at the inside of the doors. And we also have the microfiber seats at the rear, ISOFIX here, outsides. It also folds, you don't have that flying around and so on. In the middle part, you can fold down this cup holes, not adaptive though, and then stand here the ski hatch towards the trunk. You could use that. The comfort itself on the seats is actually very decent, so I like the comfort here. And the headroom here with 189 6'2" also fits. However, the legroom here in this Golf hatch version, yeah, that doesn't really work for tall adults. The Audi A3 and the Golf hatch has this short wheelbase then, and the Skoda Octavia, the Golf variant, and the Cupra Leon and the Leon ST, they have the long wheelbase version. Then you would have more legroom here in the rear. So that is the only catch then here with the Golf hatch. You have another climate unit here in the lower part for the rear seats, and USB-C chargers in the lower part. Quick look at the trunk of the boot here, 1 meter or 40 inches in width and 75 centimeters or 30 inches in length. Underneath there's more space, for example, also for a replacement tire. And here you can also put it up here. It's a nice solution, right? That it stays in place, and you can maybe put some things underneath it, or maybe groceries around the subwoofer, something like that. And folding 2/3, 1/3 split, or with the ski hatch then for the full. And here, see this small pictogram? Very interesting, right? So, should you forget, you can also put your hand underneath here, then when everything is dirty on the outside, then you can close the trunk like this without getting dirty hands. And the interesting thing is also that the pictogram is on both sides, and they even have the right thumb side here like this. And then here the thumb is to the left on this one. So yeah, that's attention to detail, isn't it? Under the hood, we have the 1.5 TSI turbo petrol engine. We also have it right here, 116 or 150 horsepower, manual or DSG automatic. Based on this engine is also the plug-in hybrid that has the biggest change with the facelift, because it gets a new 20 kilowatt-hour net battery, so way more pure electric reach then, so that is, or range, that is very important. And then there's still the 2-liter TDI, and of course the sporty model GTI and the Golf R. They are based on the 2-liter TSI turbo petrol engine for the biggest boost and best, yeah, like the best acceleration figures. German Autobahn. I will shift back to second gear. Yeah, manual shifting action for you here today. Sport mode. Woo! That was a nice ride with great shifting. Oh, and also great feeling on the brakes here. Yeah, I mean, so many vehicles are with automatic these days, and especially like the new vehicles we have then as test vehicles. I mean, in traffic situation and so on, it's always great to have an automatic, just cause just more comfortable. But this one here, like when you really hammer in the gears, that's lovely, isn't it? It's actually really thick, this shifting lever here. So we have the 1.5 TSI with the manual shifting today, 6-speed. The alternative would be a 7-speed DSG. Yeah, and I mean, it is on the one hand a matter of price. The manual is of course still less expensive, and it can also be more fun indeed. So this is the rare Golf versions which is still available here with the manual shifting. Yeah, but on the other hand, of course, the DSG, the automatic 7-speed, then is more comfortable, and it's also very important difference here. When you have the DSG, it is in combination with the mild hybrid system, and this gives you like a liter on 1 kilometers, or maybe like 5 mpg plus or something like that. It is a significant difference, and here the manual version is without the MHEV system, and so on the long term, yeah, it could even be cheaper than to go for the DSG, you know, when you go into the amortization stage and over all the fuel savings and so on paid off. Then, general about this vehicle here, general vehicle. So you see the rain is slightly picked up. The road is still totally dry, you know, it's just a little bit of rain in the air then. But noise insulation here at 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour is okay, but nothing really special. There, of course, if you think about, hey, maybe like thinking of Golf variant or versus Passat, there the Passat, for example, would be way more silent. Let me shift down back once again. Acceleration in 3rd gear. Yeah, so power-wise, I think it's okay. There's also no power difference between here the manual and the automatic. It's around 8.5 seconds in the acceleration figure to 1 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour. So this is not the difference. It's more about then the shifting comfort, or if you appreciate shifting, then like this. So here back to the noise insulation. Here 1 kilometers an hour, or maybe like 150 now, so like 70 miles an hour. It is not especially silent. I think it's okay, not super bad, but we already felt that with the Skoda Octavia, for example, that especially when you are at higher speeds, you do notice that it gets a little bit louder. So there, when you go a segment above that, also inside the brands like to Passat or Superb, you definitely get more noise comfort. We also are equipped here with the DCC, Dynamic Chassis Control, a €1,000 extra, and I was here in the sport mode, but still sport mode here, and also combination. We had 18-inch wheels on the outside, as you've maybe seen or heard earlier in the exterior part, and it delivers you very good comfort from the suspension. So when you have the DCC, you also have the more elaborated rear axle always, and here comfort mode, of course you get a little bit softer than in the dampening. You also feel that it also switches the steering input, and then it's a little bit too soft, I feel. But you see here, very small commands are transferred on the road. This one is also equipped with the optional progressive steering, €200 extra. In the sport mode, you have a little bit more feedback, and then I always do here the individual mode and configure it in a way that the DCC is most comfortable, but the steering is set on sport. So that way I have more feedback from the steering and I have a good control. Also when I'm doing some lane changes or something, and it's not overreacting. And at the same time, I have good comfort from the DCC, from the suspension. So that's to me my favorite setting. I really like to have this specific setting here in this combination. And here it's also very windy outside today. We have to mention that when we talk about the noise insulation and so on. It always depends on the conditions, but still I feel for a Golf that stands like for the great sound of the closing doors and so on, it should give us a little bit more NVH comfort, so like this noise, vibration, harshness. Here, of course, shifting back is always good when you can accelerate it out a little bit further. The cool thing about the Golf is it always gives you this really compact, sporty feel. Oh, it's a little bit of like whistle noise here from the side mirrors coming in at 140 kilometers an hour. So yeah, noise insulation is probably the thing that I'm least satisfied here with the Golf. steering input, suspension comfort, that is really awesome, especially the suspension here with the DCC when you go for that one. Great comfort here, especially in this segment, and I feel that even to the premium competitors, the Golf here holds a very, very good place in the comfort of the suspension. Have to notice that. And then we will also switch to motorways. We have this nice S combination here coming up. And this thick shifting lever is awesome. I really love it. I mean, yeah, there are not so many good manual drive cars anymore, but this is really something. Starting to really like that, honestly, guys. And of course, always liking here one more lane change. Really feels good, you know. So sportiness and comfort in a very good relation. Here the hatch is of course the shorter one. It always feels a little bit sportier than the Estate, because the Estate is here on the longer wheelbase version. There's a difference in the Golf. Remember, Audi A3 and VW Golf sit on the short wheelbase of that platform. Skoda Octavia, VW Golf variant, and Seat Leon ST. And I believe also the Seat Leon hatch. All these are on the long wheelbase, so I think only the short wheelbase should be the Audi A3 hatch and here the VW Golf hatch. And it makes the car definitely more agile on the cost of less legroom. Of course, the Estate versions then, or the Skoda versions, they are definitely equipped with more legroom. That of course helps. Here now, S combination, I shift back. Great feeling for the vehicle. Look at that, beautiful. Also here, I don't have to oversteer. It gets out of the corners very nicely. Then I have to brake a little bit, go back here, search the gap. It's just a lot of fun, you know. This Golf here in the normal styling, to some it might look a little bit bland on the exterior and say like, you know, it's just a Golf, everyone drives a Golf. In Germany, you see, you know, on the road, also when we do our driving parts here, the most cars you will see are Volkswagen Golf. And then Volkswagen Tiguan, and then Polo, Passat, you know, these are just the most frequent cars that have been bought in Germany the last 5 decades or something, you know, like that. But then again, when you start driving it, you feel there's a nice agile feeling. It is fun to drive. Here I have to cancel that one. There we go. You still have enough. What is this? Like, I hate it when people turn in and then they don't accelerate. And of course, blocks the people behind you as well. And we accelerate here on this new motorway out one more time. This was the speed warning, by the way, because the vehicle did not realize that we are already on an unlimited road. Still think it's 80, but it's not true. Here now a little bit more bumpy in the road, but even out very well. I can also go to 6th gear to have more consumption advantages. It feels very good here on the motorway, and I always like to do these high-speed driving tests because that really shows what the vehicle is made of. Yes, you might always say, for the majority of car customers, it's not really relevant how a car handles at 160 kilometers an hour, or like at, you know, maybe like at 80, 90 miles per hour or something like that. But it shows how good the car is, how the suspension is set up, and so on and so on. And I really like it here. So once again, the engineering knowledge and the background that went into this vehicle from all the experience also of the previous generation is really, really good. The Golf is still a very good compact vehicle. And with this facelift, I mean, from all the driving stuff, the most stuff it had it already before. The most important thing is that you have this software update here now, and then you're also less frustrated while driving because you don't have so many software fails, and it is quicker than before and so on, and better to control. So this also contributes to driving, and you know, that you can change it a little bit better. By the way, changing the driving modes is also possible with this button here below, but it's also a capacitive button, so it doesn't give you a good feedback, but at least you don't have to click in the infotainment system. But then the question is it quicker to click down below here, and is it less distracting clicking down below this capacitive button than clicking here in the screen? At that case, it might even be better to click in the screen, isn't it? Yeah, definitely very interesting. But like from all the driving features, minus it should be, you know, shouldn't be that loud at really higher speeds. That's the thing that I may be a little bit disappointed with. All the other driving behaviors we see here are really very nice. Consumption between 6 and 7 liters on 100 kilometers, so less than 40 mpg US, but a little bit more than 40 mpg UK. So the thing is, with the DSG, with the mild hybrid system, we could save some like a liter on 100 kilometers or have some 5 mpg more. So indeed, I would tend to go for the automatic version, although I had a lot of fun with the manual shifting here today, and I know you guys also really like it. The car as it stands here right now, equipped, is 44,000 euros, so not exactly double the entry price, but here in this mid-trim level, I think it's a quite nice configuration that you have the most important features like the IQ light, the matrix LED when you drive a lot of night, and the option DC, that you have more suspension comfort and so on. So maybe the microfiber seats, but then the models above that, they tend to get really expensive. So the equipment that it stands here right now, this mid-trim, is also probably one that I would also advise for. What do you think about the Golf? Of course, the sporty models are yet to come. We already have them here in the facelift presentation, the GTI and the R.